Welcome to the Boosting Achievement ESL podcast. I am your host, Dr. Carol Salva. In this podcast, I'm chronicling my journey of learning about the best ways to support multilingual learners and the teachers who teach them. This is episode 129. Before we get started, I want to shout out to my team, Dr. Marie Heath, Dr. Michelle Izquierdo, and Elise White-Diaz. We are the Newcomer Division Sidelets Education, and we offer training, coaching, modeling, and program design. So if you're watching the YouTube version of this show, you see their beautiful faces here. Please reach out to us if we can help you with anything like that. Would be our delight to come to your district and train or work with your staff. Okay, but let's get on to the free professional development, which is this show. It is my journey of learning. And so I appreciate anybody who comes along. I've been gone for a while, but I come back when I need you. And so thank you for being here. I'm the one that gets the most out of it. So I just talk until I'm done. And then I have to edit it and I think about it. And so I appreciate it very much that you're here for any part of it. It is a very challenging time for many of us who serve immigrants and immigrant families here in the United States. And so I want to make sure you know that I've done some recent shows about our mindset, about how to be productive. There's a show with Francisco Jimenez recently, super important show if you want to think about how to talk to students and be with students in a productive mindset. And then I did a show recently with Larry Ferlazzo about how he would approach students this year, and Dr. Denise Furlong's grad students asked questions. The last few shows have been, there's just a lot, because today I am going to focus on what you do on your campus. I just don't want you to think that I'm ignoring those things. Those shows are out there, and I am re-listening to them. So I'll make sure you have links to all the recent shows. In fact, make sure you know that you can also always find the show notes. If you type into your address bar, all in capital letters, bit.ly/BA podcast, all in capital letters. And today you're looking for episode 129. I also want to apologize that this show is somewhat scotch taped together. You'll notice different lighting. It sounds different at different points. Different hairstyle, but it's finished. It's finished. Appreciate you. Appreciate your grace. So I mentioned Larry Ferlazzo. Larry and I get to collaborate on different things. He and I are doing a quarterly webinar for Sidelets Education. I'll make sure you have a link to the recent one because I'm going to talk about it. It's important for today. He's also going to moderate a webinar for NAELPA in the near future, the National Association of EL Program Administrators. I mention that because Larry feels passionate about right now making sure people are thinking about how are you pivoting with immigrant numbers dwindling. And so that webinar for NAELPA is talking to program leaders. I just want to thank Larry for continuing to shine a light on this and reminding me about this, because this show is along the same lines. What do you do when your numbers are shrinking? But I'm speaking directly to the newcomer teacher, just as I always am. This show follows my blog. If you put the bit.ly/BA podcast into your address bar, you'll get to my blog. And it is called Newcomers at Grade Level and Beyond. And so I'm still talking to the newcomer teacher. The interesting thing is I am busy. I am super busy. I am packed in a school year where numbers are dwindling, newcomers numbers are dwindling. But tell me if this resonates with you. The requests I'm getting are just because the numbers are shrinking doesn't mean there aren't any issues anymore. It just creates different issues. So Larry calls it, what do we do when students with lower proficiency, if you have a few and you don't have enough for a separate program and now they're parachuting in to content classrooms, can we support the content classroom teachers? This is the thing. Yes, we should definitely be focusing on all the multilingual learners. And long-term English learners, you might definitely have more long-term experienced English learners that we need to address their needs. But when the teacher, the math, science, social studies, choir, band, the content grade level teacher is saying, I need help with this one. I need help with the ones who don't have proficiency, even if you know there's just a few of them. We have to support the teachers with where their pain is, with where their struggle is. And I promise they will more likely listen if you are listening to them. So the answer is, and the answer always has been, can we offer things that are not hard, that are practical, and boost the achievement of the entire class? If I have a teacher who'd be willing to do this and they see how it supports all their students, and then the newcomer fits in that classroom, and the teacher adopts those techniques because they're good for the next class and the next class and classes that do and don't have multilingual learners. Then when we start talking about our experienced English learners, we're just pinpointing what do those students need? Why have they not exited? But they're already in the right kind of environment, a language-rich, interactive environment where there's listening, speaking, reading, and writing every day in content classrooms. All right, so let me explain how this is going to be structured, this show. I am going to follow the most frequently asked questions from newcomer teachers to me right now. And think about these. Do any of these resonate with you from your own life or from the teachers you support? So what I hear most often is, I want to support the content teacher or the grade level teacher, but I don't know their content. Students are just waiting for me to come in and translate. We don't have common planning time. They don't see me as a partner. I just come in and float. They only have a few or one emergent bilingual student. So where are we even supposed to start? And another one that I hear quite a bit, and I get it, is we have shown them sheltered strategies. We have trained teachers, but they're not doing them. All right. Did any of those resonate with you? If you're using this, if you're doing a watch party like a lot of folks do with this show, pause, talk to each other. Which one of those resonates with you? Why? That would be a good, even if you're by yourself, pause, jot down which one resonates with you, internalize, so you're not just listening, or just think about it. All right, here are my recommendations. I'm going to lump some of these together. And again, in today's show notes, I'm going to have a lot of links as to what I'm talking about. Okay, let's start with the first one. I don't know their content. Okay, I understand how uncomfortable that might feel if you are being asked to go into a chemistry classroom. The content makes me nervous. But the great news is that I'm not supposed to teach the content. The content teacher teaches the content. I'm there to support language acquisition. I'm there to support helping them make their content comprehensible when they're teaching. What can they do so the students understand? Remember, every day they understand more English. So I want to remind them some things and habits they can do so that they are more comprehensible and understandable. Things like gestures and visuals and pointing. So making content comprehensible and developing academic language. Our piece is putting the language piece to it. So if you are teaching content, it's broken because ESL folks are hired and English language development folks are hired for language development. Content, academic content, language development. Here in Texas, we are advocate for learning language through content, content-based language acquisition. So if you have a language acquisition specialist working with you as a content teacher, you're a team. But the math teacher is the one that has the math knowledge. Okay, so there are some things I'm going to offer that you can do without knowing the content. But that is not, you don't have to stress that you don't know the biology. You're supposed to be supporting their language acquisition. Okay, that kind of bleeds over into the next thing. Students are getting everything translated, or they're just waiting for me to come in and translate. So there are a few things with that. So I understand a lot of translation when you first meet a student, but as you go through time, over 188 days, would we still need that heavy of a support? Also want to make sure content teachers know that a translated piece of text is not teaching the student. You're teaching the student. So, I mean, whatever you need to use, but here's the issue that I'm going to address right now. We also we are also responsible for developing academic language. So that student might learn the math with everything in Spanish, but how did we move the needle on their language acquisition so that they move through the levels of English language development? I'm going to offer you 5 things. I'm giving you a page from the book that I wrote with Anna Mattis, the Boosting Achievement book. You are listening to the Boosting Achievement ESL podcast. You can find the show notes at the short link bit.ly/BA podcast. All in capital letters, you're looking for episode 129. And it's page 80 if you have your book. These are the top 5 things. If you do these 5 things, and they are practical, if these 5 things happen, you will, over 10 months, kids will move a proficiency level. Think how many content classes they have and how many days we have with them. Okay, here are the 5 things. 1 is get high quality sheltered instruction that's practical. I'm a little biased, but we recommend 7 steps to a language-rich interactive classroom. But what we're talking about is like the entire staff. Make sure they understand what we're talking about when we talk about sheltered instruction. So that could be SIOP or GLAD or QTEL. I'm not saying they're implementing it. I'm saying they know what we're talking about. And we respect all of the sheltered instruction colleagues or companies that I just mentioned. Make sure that it's practical, what you're recommending that they do, things that they can actually do. All right. So that's the first thing, is make sure everybody has some background for what we're going to be asking them to consider adopting in terms of strategies. Then here are 4 things that, if they happen every time they meet for math class or science classes, social studies, it will move the needle. So the second thing is have students verbalize to internalize. Verbalize to internalize. Thank you, John Seidlitz, for the hand gestures that I'm doing on YouTube that help us all remember. Verbalize to internalize. See, this is about learning, but of course our students are going to internalize better if we stop talking as educators and allow them an opportunity to verbalize, talk about the content that we're learning. So Sam Bennett, who's an instructional coach, has a quote: "The person doing the speaking is the person doing the thinking, and the person doing the thinking is the person doing the learning." So let's think about that. Who's speaking most? And are there any opportunities to stop and let kids internalize? Verbalize to internalize. Remember, we're creating conditions where newcomers fit. in a classroom, whether I'm there or not. Okay, so that was the second thing. Third thing is echo or correlate. Read in unison something every day. Read something every day. We say corally read it, so that's read all together where no one can hear me. An echo, I say it, then we say it. It's a repeat, and the students all repeat in unison. That's more effective. But it can be your goals, your content and language targets. It can be sentence frames. It might be just vocabulary at least. But if you put it into sentence frames, it's in context. And then they get syntax. And then they get one-to-one word matching. And then they get to see high frequency words. And so many things if you just do one sentence a day like that. Read something a day. Remember, that would be 200 more opportunities for oracy. And all of your students are going to own the language, like circumference, like mitosis, like sovereignty in context. So what I'm offering content teachers here are simple things, but they boost everyone's achievement. But again, we're talking about language acquisition and making sure we check boxes for listening, speaking, reading, and writing. So what did we have? Everybody gets training. Some kind of training for base level background this year. Have a mantra in our minds, verbalize to internalize. So we're going to figure out when we're going to stop and let them talk. Echo read something. So we all sound like scholars and get an opportunity to read together and the oracy. So corally read something. The fourth thing is have visuals. Have visuals that you refer to throughout the lesson. We should constantly be pointing to images that have vocabulary. So if I'm talking about solids, liquids, and gases, I'm pointing to the images of solids, liquids, and gases. The repetition is already there, solids, liquids, gases. But gestures and visuals are the top asks of our newcomer students. But even if you don't have any newcomers, the fact that you keep pointing to the images when you're teaching the content, we're not going to just wait for a person to come in and help me. If I'm a teacher, I'm going to think about my walls as a co-teacher. Your walls are your best co-teacher. They're there. The kids are looking at them. They're accessing them. If you make a point to just tap to teach, touch everything you teach. Okay, the fifth thing, have students write at least one complete sentence every day in a way that's appropriate. If I have to write it for them, they tell me what to write or they're filling in the rest of it, or I tell them and they say it back to me, that's a super heavy scaffold that they should not need over 10 months. I mean, after a while, then they can copy it from a page next to them. Instead of me writing it for them, they can copy a sentence starter. And then after a while, they can copy from the board. And then after a while, they can write the rest in their native language. And then after a while, they can use some of those high frequency words. We are moving through time, and every single day, everyone can do a little bit more. But 90 seconds for a quick jot is going to have a significant effect on the learning of the entire class. John Hattie, who is a researcher that we don't dispute, because he's done so much work on what's effective. He calls it reflection and evaluation, and it has a 0.75 effect size, I believe. That's pretty strong. So if we're not letting students stop and reflect, we're working harder than we need to. And I'm talking about 90 seconds to quickly jot ideas about something before you talk to somebody, or to reflect what you've learned, like an exit ticket or a quick jot in your journal. Again, these 5 things are about our multilingual learners. The reason that we put them here is if you do these 5 things, they will, language acquisition, if you want to tease that out and think about how they're acquiring the English language while you're teaching math, well, those things are doable. And they're okay. So let's move on. All right, let's address the next 2 together. We don't have common planning time. and they don't see me as a partner, we're actually talking about that for the rest of the time. How can we partner with teachers? But let's start with, we don't have common planning time. I get it. I was teaching high school in my last job, and I did not have common planning time. My kids had so many different teachers. But there are a few things that I figured out. I wrote about Charlotte McHale, who was a teacher in our high school who was so good. We didn't have common planning time, but she always would she would hand me things while she was at the copier. I could be there and talk to her, and she would give me what they were going to work on, and I would offer how we might adapt things. I've just never met a teacher who wouldn't talk to me at the copier. And so, it is about relationships. So I really lift her up, and I appreciate her for her willingness to collaborate. We didn't have co-planning time, but she would collaborate with me. And now we could do that asynchronously, right? So thank you again, Miss McHale. Another thing is, again, I'm not trying to teach her content, but if I know what they're going to be learning, and I can talk to students about it ahead of time and just ask what they wonder about it. And we can Google things and write some sentences, because I'm there about language acquisition. That changes the game when they go into a lesson. We're exposing them to vocabulary so that when they go in, their brain is sticky for these things. Building some background knowledge. Okay, so those are some practical things that you could do without common planning time. Oh, another practical thing. Dr. Marie Heath, who's on my team, has created a fantastic training for paraprofessionals. I'm so inspired by what they can do without common planning time and without knowing the content. I'll give you one example. She asks them to see if the teacher will give them a little corner of the board. Just tape off a little corner of the board. And when I come in, I'm going to listen to you teach, and I'm going to write the vocabulary in that corner. I'm going to make sure the students are watching me. I might write some sentence starters in there. I might do some little images on the fly. Remember, those 5 things: have visuals, have them write at least a sentence, have them verbalize. If the teachers are not yet able to adopt all of those things, when you come, we should make sure those things happen. We can make sure those things happen, like just with a small group, make sure kids are using language, even if they're just repeating, jotting some things down in English, because you're playing a long game. So again, you may not have common planning time if you don't advocate for it, but if it's not possible, there are a lot of ways to be effective. Here's one more thing I'm going to offer you if you really want to go down a rabbit hole that is really productive for this. There's a webinar with Elise White-Diaz. I mentioned Elise from my team, and Andrea Honigsfeld. And if you are in the EL space, co-teaching, co-planning, Honigsfeld and Dove are the queens of this for multilingual learners. And they've written so many books on collaboration and co-teaching. So Sightless Education, our company, partnered with Honigsfeld and Dove to create the Portraits of Collaboration resource. If you are watching the YouTube version of the show, I'm offering you the table of contents that shows you the 8 different chapters. And they're written by different teachers that are collaborating in different ways. And it is a wonderful resource. And the reason that I'm touting it so much is because I'm going to give you that free webinar between Elise and Dr. Honigsfeld, where they offer some advice for collaboration and co-teaching when there are certain challenges. I'll put that right into today's show notes. You should be able to click on it and watch it right from the show notes, but it is on YouTube. All right, so what's the next question we were going to talk about? Oh, okay. It's something I'm hearing a lot where teachers are like, now they just have 1 or 2, and I don't know where to start because this teacher, he's never had a multilingual learner. And so what do we do when this is the first time? And where do we even start? It's the middle of the school year. Okay, thankfully, we did a show on, I have one newcomer that showed up in the middle of the year. Where do we start? That is a show I did with Stephen Hurley and Derek Rodenizer, my friends from Canada. Look at my coffee mug today. It's my Canada coffee mug because I love all my Canada friends. I love you guys. I miss you. All of y'all. But yeah, this is a show. I mean, buckle in because it's an hour, but I'm basically going, okay, here are all the things that I would say. And first of all, start with don't panic. Do not panic. Realize that everybody's going to get more understanding every single day. And I just go through some very basic things about language acquisition for a teacher who maybe never has had newcomers before. So this might be a show that you want to listen to. It might be a show that you offer to your teachers, and they may want to listen to it 10 minutes at a time on double speed. Here's another thing that I share in that show that I think is really important is how can we make it as easy as possible? I wanted to make it as easy as possible for Derek and Stephen to help teachers, even though they're not ELD specialists. So another Canada friend of mine, Michelle Gill, here's a beautiful picture of Michelle Gill. She is a program leader in British Columbia, and she was one of the first times I saw a script for QSSA, for the structure that I was telling you about, and why, how she provides the relevance to her teachers, because this way of structuring conversations, it's way more than a turn and talk. It's way more. So she makes it very easy for anybody to try it. So you don't need to say you're going to model for teachers if you're not comfortable with it. Say, let's try this. Here's a script. The last thing I'm going to share with you is we've shared strategies that would help multilingual learners. We've shared them, but they're not doing them. Okay, I get it. I'm going to circle back to what I said at the beginning. Are they the kind of things they would want to do? Do they have the relevance? I keep talking about Larry Ferlazzo, but he has done a lot of work around student motivation, but he's using motivation research. Motivation research would tell you that people will do what they have the relevance for. If they know why it supports them, why it makes sense, not just because we said so, not just because it's on the checklist, but because it boosts the achievement of the entire class. Do they have the relevance? Also, are you offering them any choice on maybe you're going to partner with them and show some strategies, or let's make it easy for them. Let's make it as easy as possible, because when you don't have a sense of competence, it's cringy to try to adopt new things. So partner with them. Okay, but a fantastic resource that I'm going to offer you today, if you want more about content teachers who want to do sheltered strategies in a district where we can't make them do anything, but now there are a lot of content teachers asking for more training and to be part of our cohorts for 7 steps, I'm going to offer you Dr. Marika Klinkenbeard. She's actually the president of the National Association of EL Program Administrators. She's also a good friend of mine that I love dearly. But Larry and I did our quarterly webinar for Sightless Education, and my co-author, Anna Mattis, is amazing. Anna came on to talk about our What's Working conference that we do every year. I'll link to that. And then we had Marika, because she has presented at the What's Working conference many years in a row, because she's using Sightless Education strategy, 7 steps, in a way where teachers are requesting it now. There are a ton of resources that were shared, not just by Dr. Klinkenbeard, but by Larry himself, and by me, and by Anna, and by everyone in attendance. So when you go to today's show notes, you're not only going to get a link to go directly to YouTube and watch What's Working for multilingual learners in content classrooms, but you're also going to get the slide deck. And the slide deck has links to the top tips and top strategies that everybody is recommending. So you can just get as much PD from that as you want. So again, here are the links at the end to the webinars that I just told you about, the one with Dr. Klinkenbeard and the one where Larry is going to moderate for program leaders soon. Don't forget that we offer training, coaching, modeling, and program design. We would love to come and work with you. And whatever you're getting from this, I really appreciate you being here. I know it's a challenging time. I told you we have other shows to help your mindset with that. But don't forget what Mandela told us. Education is the answer. Education, whether one day or the whole year, you have an opportunity to have students feel smart and understand how they're going to get more language. Partner with those students. And yeah, he's right. Education is the most powerful weapon we can use to change the world. So we're just going to keep advocating for that. Your role as a newcomer teacher, whether you have many newcomers, no newcomers, or a ton of newcomers, it's super important to your campus and to your community and to me. So thank you. Take good care. Bye-bye.